Hi everybody, it's Rabbi Oliver. It's Parsha Wisdom. We're in Parshat Yitro. I'm asking the question about what is Judaism this week. We have in this week's Parsha Moses going up upon Mount Sinai and receiving the Ten Commandments. And the Parsha in its essence has also something to say about the essence of what Judaism is. Judaism is, first and foremost, in relationship with these Ten Commandments, a religion of tradition. A religion of traditions which are handed down from generation to generation. In this week's Parsha, 10 Commandments. The first one, I am the Lord your God. A articulation that Judaism is a faith of one God, monotheism. But there's a lot more there. On one level, this week we have the 10 core commandments to Jewish life. On the other hand, Judaism is a great diversity of traditions, stories, and commandments which are handed down from generation to generation. Ani Adonai Elohecha, I am the Lord your God, is one commandment that we find in this week's Parsha of a great diversity of traditions that are found in Torah. And we as Jews are taught both to learn and to transmit from generation to generation our communal story. The communal story, the second clause of the verse of the first commandment, Ani Adonai Elohecha, I am the Lord your God, Asher Hotzaticha mi Eretz Mitzrayim mi Beit Avadim. I am the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery, from the house of bondage. We are also a people of great story, and mixed into the story of our stories is both prosperity and wisdom and learning and interface with many, many different cultures and traditions in all the different places that the Jews have lived, whether it's in the Middle East or in Europe or in North Africa and beyond. We have both experienced successes and failures, both good relationship and persecution with our neighbors over a broad 2,000-year-old history. The classical story that's presented in the Torah, both in this week's and the Parshat past, are the story of Egypt, Exodus, and freedom. We're a people who love freedom and hold freedom dear, and also hold dear the story of our trials and travails of all the different generations in the place that we've lived. The third part is relationship with God. We are a people who aspire to have great spiritual depth to our lives in deepening our relationship with our life journey and our mission through our Torah study, through our study in our tradition, and through our relationship with the divine, with God. In addition to that, since we're talking about the Exodus from Egypt, I wanted to say something this week about anti-Semitism. Something about anti-Semitism which has reared its ugly head again in the US, in Texas this week with the hostage crisis, which lasted 11 hours in Texas. We are a community that wishes to live and strive and thrive under some kind of protection, especially in the UK, where we're less than 1% of the population. The right of any minority community in the UK and any free country is to carry out our religious practice without fear of persecution or mistreatment. I think each time there is an act of anti-Semitic hate crime, whether it's in a Western country or beyond, I think Jews and Jewish community feel very vulnerable from 1 hour to the next. I think no minority community should be held accountable in relationship with stereotypes, in relationship to conspiracy theories, in relationship also to the behavior of any or all other governments across the world, including, for Jewish people, the State of Israel and the way that the State of Israel functions or behaves at this moment in time. I think anti-Semitism is upon us all to oppose and stamp out in this generation. The last thing I wanted to say then is specifically about the State of Israel. There is a lot of talk in social media and beyond about the relationship between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. I personally don't have a simple answer today, but there is a complexity about being in Jewish community. A complexity, whereas just a moment ago I said that Jewish community should not be singled out and held responsible for the actions or behaviors of the State of Israel. And yet, to be Jewish is to hold dear a 2,000-year-old plus relationship with the land of Israel, the place where our forefathers and foremothers also trialed and travailed. And the advent of the modern state from 1948 is also an important and significant victory and advent for the Jewish people. So there is a complexity. Somebody who lived in Israel and worked with both Palestinian and Israeli communities across Israel and Palestine over lots of years, I have a very intimate and close relationship with Israel. So on one hand, I don't expect to be labelled and targeted for the behaviour of the State of Israel. At the same time, I do have a close relationship with that country. And negotiating that in public life, especially in Europe, is complex. Thanks for listening today. I hope in this week's Parshat Yitro, I've shared a little bit of the connected wisdom of what it is to be Jewish today, and also some of the complexity. Please share with a friend who might like to know a little bit more about our Jewish community, our Jewish lives, our Jewish religion. Shabbat Shalom to everybody.